Now I love brisket, but I don't love spending over $100 to get one. So with that said, today we're going to be trying out this chuck roast that only cost me $25. We're going to cook it like a brisket on my Weber grill, smoking it with harder charcoal, and we're going to see what it hit like. Come on. And cut the music. We in Sam's, and this video gonna start right here as we looking at these briskets at $6 a pound. I mean, basically, if you ain't spending over $100, we not coming out of here with brisket today. $94 for a 16 pounder. Another $104, $91. So I don't want to spend this much for brisket. So what we gonna do? $5.98 a pound. If I went somewhere else, I could probably find it a little bit cheaper a pound, probably closer to $6 or something like that. But we're gonna go with some of this beef chuck roast, and we're gonna see if this can come out to be better than a brisket. At least, even though it's more per pound at $7.47, I do like the cuts here, and I can spend a little bit less to feed the fam. 3.31 pounds, $24. Good marbling. Let's go. So we done made it back to the house now, and as you can see, I went ahead and did make the executive decision to grab that chuck roast we saw at Sam's, $24.73. So I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I got 3 pounds of meat. One thing that I tried to keep an eye on, I didn't want to get the one, sometimes you'll see I'm out here in the pool so you can see them all wet. Huge separation of a big fat strand right through the middle. I try to stay away from that, and then obviously, like always, I want to try to get as much marbling as you can see, a little bit more of the striations of the fat. And overall, I think I said it already, or I know I said it, I could have came out a lot better than the $7.47 a pound. I think my grocery store, I could have went to Fry's and maybe got around $6.99 right now. So not a huge difference, but I do always love the quality that they have here at Sam's. And the one thing I also like is they have Angus beef there, which is a little different quality, and I actually like the beefiness that it comes from the Angus beef. That's really the biggest thing that I noticed from just the general beef that I get everywhere else. But one of the positives when I go to Sam's. But anyway, we're gonna be cooking this baby, and like I said, just gonna see if this comes out better in a brisket, like a brisket, and I can save me a little bit of money coming in here at $25 under. And obviously, it's gonna take a whole lot less time to feed the fam. I'm gonna be using a rub that I got here. It's just a shaker that I use. My good old-fashioned Texas briskets, and like always, I give it away. So I'm gonna let you see what I use there. 3 parts of black pepper, 1 part of kosher salt, half a part of garlic powder, and paprika. I like to use the granulated garlic powder. So not necessarily garlic powder, even though I put that. I like granulated garlic powder. And also, if you can find the smoked paprika, that's always the better one. I'm about to season this thing up, let it sit out for a little bit. Other than that, I got the Weber coming up to temp. We're going to go ahead and get it going with a little bit of that harder charcoal. Try to get it low and slow. We'll see what it do. And here we are out the package, and you can see this is a beautiful chuck roast right here. Beautiful piece of meat at 3.3 pounds. I'm just going to be seasoning this thing up. I don't add any binders or anything like that. I'm at the point now where I pretty much just like to give it straight up. This isn't as big of a piece as the normal brisket as far as the thickness. However, plenty of thickness, so I'm not too afraid of this rub going on there nice and strong. Majority of this is pepper, and there's not too much salt. So let's go ahead and give it a good covering over the top, and then what I'll do is I'll roll it around and get the sides all covered. So this is pretty much what I'm looking like. Now we're gonna go ahead and flip. Here we go. And there is the other side. Make sure you take a second to shuffle up those rubs that you might have, especially if you're using the bigger particles. Things always settle. But now, like I said, you can see I didn't do my sides. I'm gonna kind of come around, and I'm pretty good at not getting too much off side of the board, and I'm only on this little plate. But we'll hit the sides a little bit, and I'll get everything else pretty, and we'll let it hang out. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Salt, pepper, and garlic. And when I tell you it smells amazing, I'm literally understating this thing. And a little paprika, but paprika don't give you a whole lot of smells and flavors, but it do give you a little bit of that color. I'm gonna let this thing hang out for a little bit. I'm gonna go get the grill up to temp. The hardest part today is around 110, 11 degrees here in Arizona. We're gonna try to keep this at a 250 cook. So literally, I'm only gonna be using one basket, some of this harder charcoal, and literally I barely need a flame. Okay, this is sat out long enough. A little SPG. Little paprika. We're gonna go ahead and slide it over here to the Weber. I'm a little low right now, but this should be kicking on in a second. I already was cooking some chicken earlier, but got it kind of tucked in as far as the hot coals and added some new ones, as you can see on there. It's pool time, as I told you earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and sit that chuck roast over here and let it have its time and really enjoy some of that lump harder charcoal right there. And there we go. I'm gonna sit that baby right where you see it. I know some of them juices gonna go right there in that crevice, which is gonna be good. And we're gonna let this thing hang out. I hear it popping and everything, so let me hurry up and get it closed up. I like that it's nice and low. It's somewhere between 225 and 220, 250, which is amazing out here, being that it's about 100 to 150 degrees back and forth. Things is rolling good. We're gonna let this hang out. I'll bring you back in about an hour. I'll probably flip this thing around. Hopefully I can get 2 hours of smoke before I decide to go ahead and cover. That's gonna really be based off of how my color looks. 45 minutes in, I can see my temperature's been kicked up, and I got it choked down nice and tight. So luckily it don't look like it's doing too much of this nice hunk of meat, but I am gonna go ahead and give it a rotation just so it can get a nice even cooking. But it's good to see everything is working out well. We'll be cooking a little more hot and fast. 1 hour, 40 minutes, still got this thing choked down. It did start coming down a little bit, which is a good thing. It's starting to get a little stormy out here in AZ, but still a nice day, man. It's hot out here. I'm gonna check it out, see how we looking. As promised, we got a little crater of juice that I'm gonna make sure that I leave in there. This is a little self-basting. I want to see where I'm at. Kind of feels tender. Okay. 248. Let's check this backside out. 244. And then one more back here. 255 down there in that fat gland. Okay. I'm going to give this thing a rotation just a little bit. And I'm going to let it keep on hanging out. I don't want to wrap it until it's at least about 175-ish. And this is a brisket. If this was my brisket, that ain't enough color for me. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna let this kind of roll where it's at. I'm gonna give it a rotation, and what I'm gonna do is kind of move these around just so I can start getting some room for later on when I come in here. I can add a couple more new coals to kind of get it going and snake on out. And team, I just want to jump in here real quick and let you know I appreciate you watching today's video. Make sure you go to that bottom right corner if you've never done it. Subscribe, leave your boy a comment, check out some of the other videos on the channel that you've missed. And if you haven't done it already, find me on Facebook, IG, and TikTok. Other than that, let's get back to this work. Okay, gave it its rotation, so now that side that was a little bit less going is more towards the fire. Added in just a little bit of coal, not too much, because I don't want to kick my temperatures up too high, but that way it can start giving off some more smoke. But then also slowly but surely, as you see, start igniting so it can kind of keep on running. And I just kind of scooted everybody over here into this corner, and then I added my new babies down here. So I'm gonna bring you back, like I said, hour and 40-ish minutes at this point. I'll bring you back here at about we'll say 2 hours 20 minutes, something like that. All right, 2 hours 22 minutes, and I can smell the rain coming in here. Let's see where we at. We done pumped back up to about 300. Still choked down. Not too worried about that. This looks pretty decent. However, I do like the bark, so I'm thinking that I can maybe get to around 3 hours before I worry about turning it. Obviously it had a nice little juice down the middle, but I'm just adding a little something to it. And I couldn't find my apple cider vinegar. Usually I'll do 50-50 apple cider vinegar and water, which is pretty good with no matter whether I'm doing brisket or whether I'm doing a pork butt or something like that, but I just went ahead and threw me together something real quick. This is pretty much water, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, and a little bit of soy sauce. Obviously, you can come up with the measurements on your own. We just giving it a little bit of moisture. At the end of the day, you could have used water if you wanted to or if you had to. But we're gonna let this thing hang out pretty much like you see it. I think I'm gonna let it go. All right, 3 hours, 4 minutes, starting to get a little light rain. Here we are, we didn't drop down to around that 275 mark. Still choked down low. Smelling good over here. I like this color, and what I'm gonna do is, no matter what, I feel like I'm about to be pulling, but I got one I'm about to hit over here in the side. Normally I don't be pulling, like if it was a brisket, I wouldn't necessarily pull it color-wise until it got to 175, right? At least, not that I necessarily look at it for the overall temperature. I usually go more or less on the view, but this view don't look that bad. I feel like I just switched over. Hold on, let me see if it, there we go. Take that focus off. That focus enhancer. This is what it looks like regular. All that good black pepper in there, you can see, and that good redness is starting to happen. And all I've been doing is, if you can notice, is I lightly rotated it. For a while we had that front point over there towards everything. Now I'm just kind of sliding it here, kind of getting it going 180. I guess we're gonna go ahead and slide everything over again. I'll add some more chips to it, and I'm gonna let this thing ride out a little bit longer. What I'm thinking about when I actually wrap it is I'm gonna actually foil boat this thing today. Normally I probably would go ahead and completely wrap this thing up, but I'm thinking about foil bolting it. I don't know. We'll kind of play back in my head back and forth, because I feel like I get a great crust on that. If so, that means I'll probably end up wrapping it sooner rather than later, if we go ahead and do the foil bolt, and then I know I'll get plenty of color on the back end. So one way or another, I'm going to give it a quick little bit of a spritz, and we're going to let it hang. There we go. A little bit of moisture, onward and upward. A little bit of new coals on there. You're going to get this smoke going on here. This thing will get some good flavor. We are back. It's a little over 4 hours. About 4 hours, 17 minutes to be exact. I'm pushing a little over 300. You can see most of that is pushed over. And I should be getting closer. I did rotate that last little bit of time in here after I got a spritz, I believe, after we was in here. Like I said, normally I'm going at about 175-ish or whatever. This has a decent bark, but since I'm going to be foil bolting it, and I don't want to be out here forever, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pull this baby off right now. Like I said, I got me a nice solidified bark. I'll hit it once more time with the spritz. And then we're going to hit it with some tallow, just like I would normally do. As a matter of fact, let me grab my spritz now. There we go. I'm going to give it a little wetness. Bam. Pardon my view and reach and all that other good stuff. You can see that good redness in there. Always love to see that. That's that smoke getting into that meat. That heart of charcoal is doing its thug thizzle. As always, I'm going to let this hang out for a quick second. Let me grab my plate, and we're going to pull you up off of there. I'm going to add some more lump charcoal over there, so I'm good to go, and we're going to put together a little full boat. All right, back in the house, you can get a view of what that thing looked like. Nice and juicy, as you can see. You see that redness and that color. If you couldn't see it outside, that smoke is definitely in there, and I can smell it in the room, which is a beautiful thing. So basically what we're going to be doing for this foil boat, if you've never seen it done before, is you're going to get enough paper, and I'm using my heavy duty aluminum foil, which is almost at the end, to cover the bottom. And then what we're going to be doing is coming up to the sides, crumbling it up, giving us a nice little tight finish all the way around. We're going to leave the top open, and then from there I'll bring you back before we give it a little douse and then put it back out. And step one is complete. Got me a nice big piece of aluminum foil. And a lot of times I will double this. Actually, I think I will. Okay. And that was perfect because that was the end of my roll. Give me a little something thicker on the bottom just to make sure I don't poke through or nothing like that. Now what we're going to be doing, like I said, we're going to be crumbling up these sides right up to the edge. I want to get up to at least halfway, maybe a little higher. And I want to make it a nice tight little boat to fit right around the edge, all the way around this thing. I'll show you halfway. Here we go. I got it going a little bit. You can kind of see, and I'll form it in here and make it nice and tight, but just so I can sit it in there in a nice little bed, and we'll tuck it up nice and tight. I tell you what, I taste any little bit that fall off of here, any little niblets on my hand. The flavor is amazing. That's one of my favorite. Though it's basic, my favorite brisket rubs. I can't wait to see how this come out. Let me finish this boat up. And just a little bit all over, just to keep it happy. That should be respectful right there. Pop. Let's get to the pit. All right, back to the smoker. I got it already loaded back up and ready to go. Excuse me. Look at my prize right here. Hello, baby. Now you can really get a good view of that color and that seasoning we got all over there. That good black pepper. This thing is hot. I'm holding it in my hand. But we got a good looking bark already. Redness all over. I'm liking it. I'm gonna throw this thing right there in that beautiful foil boat. I'll leave this open for just a second and make sure this kind of really gets up to temp. And we're gonna let it roll, man. It's gonna take its time. I got a feeling that it's gonna be one of them cooks that take longer than I expect. At the end of the day, I'm trying to take it just like brisket and get it up to around that 200 and something, or at least probe tender is really what it's all about. Obviously, it's already done. I was in the 150s when I took it up off of here, but now we need to get brisket tender. So we're gonna let it hang out. If I need to, from this point on, I'll be coming back over the top with a little bit back and forth, whether I add more tallow in, but I don't want it to just be super oily in there. We already got a decent amount in there, and some's going to be given out by the actual fat that breaks down. But if I do have to add any more moisture, I still got my broth mixture along with that W sauce in there that I'll come back with. But we're going to let it hang. 5.5 hours, ladies and gentlemen, just a tad over 300. Woohoo! Look at that. I can definitely see a lot more liquid than came out, right? Some more of that fat that broke down. I'm gonna pull out my handy dandy thermometer. Smells good out here. Let's see what we feeling like as we kind of push in. 78. A little more done back there. Nice. A little lower, further away from the fire. So you know what that means. Let's give it a rotation. Full 180 rotation. It looks nice and juicy, so I'm not gonna worry about re-spritzing or anything like that. I'm gonna leave it as is, and I'll come back here and check it out in about another hour. 6.5 hours, people. We down to 250. Ooh, it smells good. Look at this beautiful little thing right here. Let's check it out now. That's pushing in there a lot better. Try some of these other areas. I'm hitting like 170-ish, 180-ish in the back. We almost home. Patience is the key. Okay, I had to grab me a little extra charcoal in there, and I do want to go ahead and just give it a slight little lap-a-dather. It looked nice and juicy, but we'll give it some juice. Let it hang, baby. And I was just in here, it's just about 7 hours. Look at this puppy. Done dada. Smelling amazing. Harder charcoal doing this thug thizzle. Did his thing. Went a lot longer than I thought it would. 3.3 pounds. Let's get this in and we're gonna let it rest for a while before we get a break into it. Now I'm just take this to 195, just about where I usually have a brisket at. It's gonna take a while for this to calm down. Man, the smells are amazing. If you could get a good close up on this bark, the juice, we winning. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the microwave and just let it chill. I don't know, good 15 minutes or so. I'll come back out here and it'll be slice time. Okay, it's been long enough. Let's sit this baby down. Nice and juicy. as you can see, and I'm just gonna slide it over here to my old handy dandy cutting board. The smell coming off this thing. And I got my brisket knife over here. We're gonna go one hand and see if we can get this done. I need to hold the board. There we go. My luck, I had to mess around and knock this thing over. Be about ready to cry after putting in all that good work. Let's see what we looking like. I think we got a little smoke on there. Beautiful looking smoke ring. As you can see, nice and juicy. Yes, yes. Let me grab this one. And we just gonna sit you right on top of that. I'm not gonna squeeze it down and let all that juice come out, but I'm telling you what, it's tasty. All right, I don't want to play with my food too much. Let me go ahead and put this back over here. Yeah, and let me cut a slice. Okay. Look how juicy that is. You think it's tender? Yes, I'm gonna say it's tender. And if you can't tell, look at that, one finger tearing it apart. Nice and juicy. Let's see what it tastes like. Boy, look at here. Boy, that is like tender like a mother's love. Man, I'm just getting in here and getting this thing chopped up. This is phenomenal. Got me a little burnt end piece right there. Juicy, juicy, juicy. $24, $25. Not too bad. And this little burnt end piece right here, I just had half of it. Rendered, tender, smoky. Now my final verdict, if you're cooking for a crowd, brisket is still king. But at the end of the day, if it's just somebody that's cooking for their family in the backyard, you trying to get it done in half the time, you can't beat this $25 chuck roast. Flavor for days, smoke for days, had the exact same flavor, similar texture, might have been more juicy. Hey, shouts out to my family, my boys over there at Black Smoke Barbecue, Harder Charcoal for coming through to help out with this video, and you out there in TV land checking this one out. I appreciate you. Keep on watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.